Yes. Hello. Happy Wednesday for all who are coming on or here with me now. It's a beautiful day. I just want to give a thought and some energy to all the fires that are going down in California and Oregon. You can definitely see it in the air. The sun has been hazed over for days now, and at night when the sun goes down, it's bright orange, which I'm sure the fires are looking very close to that, and spreading quick and fast. So lots of thoughts and energy going out to all the firefighters and the people leaving their houses. So if you have time later this afternoon or now, just to give your own thoughts and energy to all those in need, please go for it. If you're just joining me now, today's conversation, today's Q&AA, questions and Ayurvedic answers, is all about what you say and how much it matters. And I'm going to be reading an excerpt from a really great book called Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. I have been taking my own journey through nonviolent communication for probably the past year. And just the way I was raised and my friends and how I grew up, I have a sense of really tuning in to what I'm saying and how my friends are responding, my friends and family, and what they say and how I respond, and how the ego plays into that, and all of the little pieces of the puzzle. But there's so much room to grow, and it's so easy to just say things to our friends, our family, and to ourselves that ultimately hurt and ultimately do not create a safe space for all of us to be heard. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into reading this excerpt. Communication that blocks compassion. So this is Marshall speaking. In studying the question of what alienates us from our natural state of compassion, I have identified specific forms of language and communication that I believe contribute to our behaving violently towards each other and ourselves. I use the term life-alienating communication to refer to these forms of communication. Moralistic judgments. One kind of life-alienating communication is the use of moralistic judgments that imply wrongness or badness on the part of people who don't act in harmony with our values. Such judgments are reflected in language, such as, "The problem with you is that you're too selfish. She's lazy. They're prejudiced. It's inappropriate." Blame, insults, put-downs, labels, criticism, comparisons, and diagnosis are all forms of judgment. The Sufi poet Rumi once wrote, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there." Life-alienating communication, however, traps us in a world of ideas about rightness and wrongness, a world of judgments. It is a language rich with words that classify and dichotomize people and their actions. When we speak this language, we judge others and their behavior while preoccupying ourselves with who's good, bad, normal, abnormal, responsible, irresponsible, smart, ignorant, etc. Long before I reached adulthood, I learned to communicate in an impersonal way that did not require me to reveal what was going on inside myself. When I encountered people or behaviors I either didn't like or didn't understand, I would react in terms of their wrongness. If my teachers assigned me a task I did not want to do, they were mean or unreasonable. If someone pulled out in front of me during traffic, my reaction would be, "You idiot." When people speak this language, we think and communicate in terms of what's wrong with others for behaving in certain ways, or occasionally what's wrong with ourselves for behaving in those ways, and not understanding or responding as we would like. Our intention is focused on classifying, analyzing, and determining levels of wrongness rather than what we and others need and are not getting. Thus, if my partner wants more affection than I am giving her, she is needy and dependent. But if I want more affection than she is giving me, then she is aloof and insensitive. If my colleague is more concerned about details than I am, he is picky and compulsive. On the other hand, if I am more concerned with details, he is sloppy and disorganized. It is my belief that all such analyses of other human beings are tragic expressions of our own values and needs. They are tragic because when we express our values and needs in this form, we increase defensiveness and resistance to them among the very people whose behaviors are of concern to us. Or if they do agree to act in harmony with values because they concur with our analysis of their wrongness, they will likely do so out of fear, guilt, or shame. So just a small page and a half of some really intense thought of how to communicate and how we do communicate. My friend Summer wrote, "My kids have it out for me. I'm seriously losing it today." Yeah, so, where are you in that? Where are you in communicating with them, and where are you in how they communicate with you? It's so important to learn this type of communication. I'm telling you, read this book. If you want to know more of how to get this book, I can help you, or you can go on Amazon. It's all over, super inexpensive, used copies. This is such important information. Also, there are a ton of groups that meet all around that get into this type of language and how to use it. And I want to specifically now take us down the path that we've been going on the last few weeks, where we've talked about our shadows and we've talked about stepping out of our story and how we use this language to ourselves, how we interact with ourselves. And Summer is saying at this point in time, we're not doing well with talking nicely. Yeah. Just to break from what I was about to say, Summer and people who also are going through this, you don't have to go through it alone. You do not have to teach these lessons by yourself. I know that we get this sense of, I'm a parent now. I'm an adult. I should be able to pass on and teach everything, and my children should be able to understand and accept everything. And that's just not the case. I suggest finding a therapist or finding a communicator that can sit down with your family, and maybe you've done this, or maybe this is a new idea, or maybe you've done something in between, let me know. And get someone else on your team. Get someone else in your tribe. Get someone else giving you the tools. You don't ever have to do anything alone. I say that all the time, and I'm here for you too. So going just back to the idea of how we speak to ourselves, Marshall was talking about the use of judging ourselves. So how many people, I talked about this last week, have like all the little thoughts in your head, and you're telling yourself one thing while you're thinking another thing, and then you get upset about the thing that you just said. It happens all the time. And so the judgment, but the judgment of how you speak to yourself is another key element. If you just joined and you have conflicting voices, or you are about nonviolent communication, let me know, chime in. This is a conversation that I have every Wednesday, and the topics change, but what stays steady is always wanting to hear from you. And today, again, we're talking about just that judgment that we place on others, that we place on ourselves. Just the other day, my partner and I, he asked me something and I responded, and his response to my response was of judgment. And then we had this conversation because I know about this technique, and we totally were able to talk it out and come from a new position, a new understanding of each other. And that's what I'm hoping for everyone. When you come up against your own thoughts and your own beliefs and the things that you really want, do you put yourself down? This comes, through this Q&AA, questions and Ayurvedic answers. This might not be an Ayurvedic healing tool, but the idea that we all can come back and reflect inward and listen to the subtle messages that our mind, our bodies are asking of us, that is more Ayurvedic to me. So pulling in now this wider umbrella of how we speak to ourselves, how we listen to ourselves. Are we able to meditate? And meditate can be anything under the sun for you right now. It does not have to be sitting in one spot with your eyes closed, which is something that I love and I do. But maybe your meditation is silently listening to someone walk you through a meditation, or maybe your meditation is riding your bike and you're able to, reflect on the judgments that you make against yourself. Because coming from a place of judgment never gets you anywhere except to more judgment and more confusion. If you're just joining us or you have any questions, we're talking about this beautiful technique called nonviolent communication. It's how you speak to yourself, how you speak to others, how you can enjoy a life of full understanding between you and those around you. My little pup, my little friend. Yeah, I'm here every Wednesday, 12 noon. The topics that I discuss, they could be anything. If you have a topic that you want to discuss, please type it in, send me a message. Would love to talk about that. And again, if you have questions that are not about the topic, feel free to type in. I choose topics because I want to have something to kind of bring to the table and introduce. And if what you want to talk about, again, is not that theme, let me know. That's totally fine. I'm going to log off now, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.